Formidable in argument, yet so wonderfully kind in private. Deterrent, not appeasement, he defined and overcame the great challenges of his age. However, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi's tenure is awash with human rights violations, clampdown on dissent, and minimal freedom of expression. He will be laid to rest on the 12th of February 2020 at his Kabrak home in Nakuru County. And our reporter Abdikadir Hashim has that update here on the program on the burial plans. The Primetime News also encompasses President Uhuru Kenyatta's visit to Washington, D.C. in the United States of America. Besides taking the handshake between him and the opposition chief Raila Odinga to Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., how will Kenyatta balance between the competing interests of Washington, Beijing, and a London that has divorced the European Union and seeks to elbow the growing Chinese influence across the African continent, which has 8 times more exports coming to the 55-member bloc of the African continent? On News Compass tonight, we are discussing the crisis in the education sector across the country, as Al-Shabaab attacks prompt the Teacher Service Commission to pull back or withdraw teachers from the counties of Wajir, Garissa, and Mandera. How can the government address the deep-seated lying problems of the education sector that continue to dot the docket? The date is 6th, the first week of the second month of the first year of the decade 2020. I am Ayub Abdikadir Abdi. Glad you could accompany us here on the Primetime News. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. To the Primetime News, the short SMS code is 40920 and the hashtag on Twitter is News Compass. Later, we'll be discussing matters that pertain education in the country, and we'll talk to Gladwell Cheruiyot, the woman rep Baringo County, Omboko Milemba, member of parliament Emuhaya, but equally is a senior member of Kupet, and Hesbon Ogola, the deputy secretary general of the Kenya National Union of Teachers in the country. Former President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, who died this week on Tuesday, will lie in state in Parliament for 3 days, starting Saturday 8th of February 2020 until Monday 10th ahead of his state funeral. President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is currently in Washington, D.C. in the United States of America, is expected back in the country on Friday night and will lead the nation in paying the last respects to the former head of state. This even as the government has declared Tuesday next week a public holiday, as our reporter Abdikadir Hashim lays out in the following report.
The body of the late Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi will be taken from Lee Funeral Home on Saturday early in the morning and will make its way to Parliament, where President Uhuru Kenyatta will spearhead the body viewing ceremony at Parliament buildings. The body will lie there from Saturday to Monday.
The Cabinet Secretary for Interior, on the recommendation of the steering committee, has declared Tuesday, the 11th day of February 2020, a public holiday of general observance throughout the Republic of Kenya. The former head of state will be accorded full military ceremonial honors.
On Tuesday, the body will then be taken to Nyayo Stadium under a heavy security from the military, where the public will get a chance to say their goodbyes to the late Daniel Moi.
The body of the President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi shall lie in state in Parliament from Saturday 8th February 2020 to Monday 10th February 2020. Second, His Excellency Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces, will on Saturday 8th February 2020 lead the nation in viewing of the body of the former president.
At Nyayo, the event will be presided over by clergymen from different denominations. From there, the body will then be transported to Kabarak, where Mzee Moi will be laid to rest. Head of Public Service Joseph Kinyua will lead the arrangements for the funeral, likely to be attended by continental and world leaders.
The head of state is expected to arrive at Parliament buildings at 10:15 a.m. on Saturday 8th February 2020. All state officials whose attendance is required by tradition and state protocol have been notified. On Tuesday 11th February 2020, the gun carriage and state funeral procession will make its way from Parliament building to Nyayo Stadium, the venue of the National Memorial Service.
The elaborate burial ceremonies that will be rolled out in Moi's honor will mirror that of Kenyatta in 1978. Kenya has only accorded 4 individuals state burials since its independence in 1963. They include Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, former Vice President Kijana Wamalwa, former First Lady Lucy Kibaki, and Nobel Peace Prize laureate winner Wangari Maathai. Abdikadir Hashimi, Brew TV.
Away from that, the High Court in Nairobi has quashed President Uhuru Kenyatta's decision not to appoint 41 judges. In the judgment delivered by a 3-bench judge, the High Court ruled the head of a state has no mandate or power to review judicial appointments. Elsewhere, Nairobi County Governor Mike Sonko has suffered yet another blow after the court denied him passports to allow him travel to the United Arab Emirates, as our reporter Jeff Haimba reports in the following story.
In the case, lawyer Adrian Kimoda had moved to court to challenge the delay by President Uhuru Kenyatta in the appointment of several judges.
In our view, lack of integrity cannot be classified information, and there was no justification for not disclosing such information to the first interested party. The people of Kenya did not expect the president to delay appointment of judges, given that the persons recommended are intended to serve the citizenry immediately. In our view, the appointment of judges by the president should be immediate and as soon as the recommendations are forwarded to him by the first interested party. That is the spirit in Article 259(8) of the Constitution.
In the ruling delivered by Judges Lydia Chode, Chacha Mwita and James Makau, the court in a unanimous decision ruled that President Uhuru Kenyatta is bound by the Constitution to appoint the judges.
We find that the president has no mandate to review, reconsider, or decline to appoint persons recommended by the first interested party as judges. We also find that the delay by the president in appointing the persons recommended is unreasonable and unconstitutional.
By now, it is unclear whether the head of state, through his Attorney General Paul Kihara, will appoint the judges or appeal the court's decision.
The president's failure to appoint the persons recommended by the first interested party as judges violates the Constitution. 2, a declaration that persons recommended be deemed as duly appointed and should assume duties as judges of the respective superior courts, and a declaration that the respondent and the interested parties should make immediate steps to enable the persons recommended for appointment as judges discharge their constitutional duties.
Still in the corridors of justice, embattled Nairobi County Governor Mike Sonko suffered a loss on Thursday after the court declined to grant him the prayers to have his passport to facilitate his travel arrangements to Dubai. Mike Sonko had sought the orders through his lawyer George Kithi to enable him attend the 10th session of the World Urban Forum, which takes place from the 8th to 13th this month in Dubai. However, the Chief Magistrate Douglas Ogoti opposed the application. Sonko's tribulation wasn't even as the Makongeni member of the County Assembly. Peter Imwatoku, who is also the minority whip in the Assembly of Nairobi, reported him at the Nairobi Central Police Station over the death threats claims.
Because people have been trailing me from my vehicles, now I'm using Uber vehicles to my business premises, to my home, and also a lot of information coming in, a lot of threats. I met 3 boys last week on the streets who flashed out guns on me, telling me I should stop to talk about the current governor of Nairobi, and in particular the process of impeachment, or else I'll meet copper, meaning they'll shoot me.
Imwatoku claims he has received threats from the unknown people in the city.
The instruction had already been given by the governor to the 3 young men and 1 prominent askari in this town, that they should make sure while he's away out of the country where he's going to Dubai, that they must sort me out. And then these boys also will be sorted out by the same askari also. So I felt that I should come and report to authorities. The reasons are very specific. Last week I gave out an expose on the issue of land for the pensioners, that Governor Sonko has taken over the land of the pensioners without paying.
Peter Imwatok says the impeachment motion against Governor Mike Sonko Mbuvi has received the requisite signatures from the members of the County Assembly of Nairobi in kicking out the embattled governor from the office. Reporting for Ebro TV, I'm Jeff Khaemba.
Thank you, Jeff. And away from the clear blue waters between the judiciary and the executive that continues to dry up, we still are in the county of Nairobi, and the crackdown on public service vehicles found exhibiting obscene content has begun in earnest this morning, with any matatu found on the other side of the law forced to part with 200,000 Kenya shillings on the spot. The Kenya Film Classification Board Chief Executive Officer Ezekiel Mutua says the move is aimed at bringing back sanity to the public service vehicle sector across the country.
In an early morning crackdown by the Kenya Film Classification Board, public service vehicles that have not complied with the new content regulations, so most of the drivers pay 2,000 shillings for their license to have a screen in their vehicles. KFCB Chairman Dr. Ezekiel Mutua says the content aired in most matatus is obscene content with extra loud music that has attracted young men and women to idle in the matatus daily. Mutua says the passengers are forced to listen and watch obscene content after boarding the matatus.
Some of the routes, particularly the Rongai, Langata, this area, became notorious, and parents were complaining that these have become dens of immorality, that kids are spending most of their time just roaming around in some of these manyangas, are they called nganyas, just watching pornography the whole day, and these vehicles were not registered as exhibitors.
The PSVs will henceforth have to get their content rated as general exhibition, and such will entail acquiring video regulatory license at a cost of 2,000 shillings annually. He further said that the matatus are not like television stations or exhibitors mandated to broadcast.
And then we will follow up. When we will be doing the checks on the kind of content, we will not come with we will not be identifiable. We will come incognito. We get in as with the police, but as Raya, pay the fare and see the kind of content that they're watching.
The vehicles will therefore have to comply with the Films and Stage Plays Act Cap 222, as the content in public service vehicles is not for personal consumption but rather an exhibition to the public. So far, the board has licensed over 100 public service vehicles in a move that aims to bring back sanity in the PSV sector. Diana Rachel Mbogwa, Ebro TV.
Thank you, Diana. Away from the capital, Nairobi, we head to Washington, D.C. in the United States of America. The handshake duo of President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Prime Minister and ODM leader Raila Odinga are in Washington, D.C. in the U.S., basking in the glory of their March 2018 initiative that ended their political rivalry following the disputed presidential elections of 2017. The leaders were joined hundreds of guests at the U.S. National Prayer Breakfast in Washington, D.C. on Thursday, where they were invited to speak about the Building Bridges initiative, a peace initiative they are spearheading in the country to entrench inclusivity. At the breakfast attended by U.S. President Donald Trump, the Kenyatta and Odinga spoke extensively about Kenya's electioneering period, which is often marred by bloodshed, ethnic violence, and political tension, often leading to deaths and population displacement.
We have begun that process of reconciliation, and I strongly believe that we will succeed in that process and heal our nation. I do believe that the greatest gift that me and my brother can possibly ever leave the people of Kenya is the gift of peace, is the gift of love and unity of all our people, that it is possible to disagree, but disagreement doesn't mean hate. We can disagree, but it doesn't mean we hate each other. We must be able to reason together, to respect one another. And I believe that that is the spirit of this prayer breakfast. That if we are to live and to walk in the ways of our Lord Jesus Christ, there would be no war, there would be no hate. love your brother and do unto him what you would want done to yourself.
That is President Uhuru Kenyatta speaking in Washington, D.C. in the United States of America, expected back in the country Friday night to lead the country in the final process of laying to rest of Mzee Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. But questions remain as to how he will balance the cards between the competing interests of Beijing, China, Washington, the United States of America, Moscow, that is Russia, following the Sochi summit presided over by President Vladimir Putin, and a London, that is the UK, that is leaving or has already divorced the European Union following extensive 2 years of negotiations that failed and had 2 casualties in the names of David Cameron and the other Prime Minister, Theresa May, who left in May. It was all about no ifs, no buts for Prime Minister Boris Johnson. They ended their marriage with the European Union following more than 40 years of marriage, joined in 1973 after being hesitant for quite some time when Germany, Netherlands, Belgium and France came together in 1951. But Kenyatta, among any other African leaders, remains to be some of the African leaders who will balance between the competing interests, even as their eyes now turn on the African continent. From Washington, we head back to Migori County in Nyanza, and 4 miners have died after a tunnel they were working in collapsed in Nyatike, Migori County. Now, the 4 miners who perished in the incident attributed to weak walls have been identified as Ezra Juma, Charles Owino, Oyudi and Asiko. Other miners who were at the scene have since been rushed to Migori County Referral Hospital, where they are undergoing treatment.
Mambo ya ujenzi, mambo ya seza zingine haikujengwa vizuri ama watu walikuwa wengi, which is not the case, because so far we did confirm that only 20 people were inside.
Giving room to rescue team, which went down and they did the much they could.
Now, all medical insurers have suspended Nairobi Women's Hospital from their list of accredited service providers. A statement from the Association of Kenya Insurers, AKI, says the suspension will remain in force pending through thorough review of quality and cost of hospital services. And in a classical case of when it rains, it pours, the Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA, has suspended Nairobi Women's Hospital from its list of approved medical care providers with immediate effect. This follows recent accusations made against the institution on inflating costs for patients with insurance covers.
According to the Association of Kenya Insurers, the suspension will not affect insured customers already admitted at the hospital. Billing and settlement of expenses incurred by these customers will not be affected. The statement reads in part, and I quote, "This decision was arrived at after a meeting of medical insurance companies' CEOs noted that there are several issues concerning the hospital which disadvantage the insured customers. This is contrary to the interest of medical insurers, which is to ensure that customers get the best services at competitive rates." End of quote. The suspension of patient services has led to a crisis at the hospital with 9 branches across the country and over 2 decades of practice. The hospital, which had established itself as one of the most sought-after facilities, has come under fire after complaints of unprocedural charges and admissions surfaced mid-January. The hospital was accused of charging patients with insurance covers exorbitantly, an allegation the hospital denies. Last week, a series of WhatsApp messages were released on Twitter showing doctors encouraging staff to commit malpractices in order to meet the hospital's targets. In an advertisement in the local dailies, the hospital has defended itself, terming the allegations as anti-ethical to their foundational principles. The Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council is also conducting independent scrutiny into the allegations of misconduct within the facility. Winnie Lubembe for Ebru TV.
Now, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Nurdin Haji, has called on Kenyans to refrain from blocking officers to carry out investigations. While addressing a criminal justice accountability conference in the port city of Mombasa, Haji says his office is strained in such scenarios because it makes it almost impossible to get justice for Kenyans.
Haji expressed his frustrations when seeking justice for extrajudicial victims for Muslim communities, who he says bar police and investigators from conducting post-mortem for the victims. He referred to a recent case where 4 bodies were found dumped at Tsavo National Park, noting that despite police intervention, families of the victims denied police from conducting a post-mortem, therefore compromising justice.
In the recent discovery of bodies, the families did not want post-mortem to be carried. And if we don't have a post-mortem report, how do we proceed? I think religious leaders will have to come and help us in this. Is it haram to undertake post-mortem in cases where we are trying to get to the bottom of the problem? You have to tell us this, and you have to sensitize your people, because then it makes it very difficult for us to prosecute, or it makes it very difficult for the police to investigate, and in the end, it will not be proper for individuals to blame us.
Speaking when addressing a criminal justice accountability conference in Mombasa, Haji noted that getting justice without such vital documents is a nightmare to prosecutors.
And it goes also to say that you cannot point the finger only at the police, that the problem is all of us as Kenyans, and all of us within the criminal justice system. To further enhance accountability and integrity in our processes, we are creating these forums so that we can be able to interact with the public, so that you cannot be afraid to report or hesitant to deal with the police.
Haji, however, warned that senior police commanders will be held responsible in an event where they cover up crimes committed by their juniors.
My office will apply the command responsibility principle and hold superior officers accountable for actions and omissions of their juniors, where a direct link is identifiable and there is evidence. There must be evidence, not mere allegations.
According to a 2019 report on the state of human rights at the coastal region released yesterday, shows that police killings have risen by 48% compared to the year 2018, with at least 43 of them linked to police. Busara Naman for Ebru TV.
Thank you, Buzara. We hit the break here on the program. When we come back, we'll be getting the business report, and that includes, of course, very important one that regards the taking off burden the shoulders of people who are worried about burying their loved ones, and how that is likely going to be having an effect for members who seek to bury their loved ones across the country. All that coming up next after the short break here on the Primetime News. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching the Primetime News, and thank you for keeping us company here on the program. Into business report, and burying your loved ones will never be the same again. This is according to Standard Chartered Bank's Chief Executive Officer Kariuki Ngari, who spoke during the launch of the new Farewell Plan Insurance Cover, a product by the Standard Chartered Bank in partnership with Sanlam Kenya, developed to ease the elongated and expensive process that usually follows the loss of a loved one.
For many years, the emotional burden of losing your loved one is often followed by the financial burden of covering the funeral costs, be it through public harambes or online crowdsourcing. And today, Standard Chartered Bank, in conjunction with Sanlam Kenya, have launched what they say is the ideal farewell plan, a new insurance plan to aid the funeral process.
We are not leaving a financial burden to the people who are close to us, and even those who are not close to us. How do we make sure that we are not leaving a financial burden? Hence the farewell plan. And the farewell plan is something that honestly I'm also quite excited about it. And just to give you a few highlights and what it means, it ranges between 250 to 2 million. So for the primary holder, we are insured up to a million shillings. In case of accidental death, it goes to 2 million. That is the highest in this market.
The plan is aimed at reducing the cost of funerals, easing the emotional baggage we face after losing a loved one, and bidding them farewell in a dignified manner. Sanlam CEO Patrick Tumbo, however, was wary of the low insurance penetration in Kenya.
We want to engage as a group or through their families. We can provide medical insurance cover to take care of the medical bills in the hospitals. The homes we can insure, the cars we can insure, and our lives we can insure. Let us take the funeral plan. We don't talk about it as a funeral. Let's call it as a final celebration. When you look at the diaries, now people are talking about promotion to glory.
With the low insurance penetration in Kenya, we opted to find out if the average Kenyan will actually benefit from this farewell plan, or whether they felt the traditional Harambee method of financing funerals was a better option.
Hata kama inasaidia, kuna wenye nasaidia wale wanajulikana wenye wako na pesa. Lakini tuseme mtu kama mimi siwezi afford kitu kama hiyo juu sasa ile na hustle kidogo ya siku labda ndio inanitosha kwa matumizi yangu na familia yangu. Lakini ile ya kulipa eti unalipa insurance eti unalipa kila siku ama weekly ama the date of birth, hiyo naona ni ngumu sana kwangu.
Afadhali harambee. Unaona kifo ni kitu inakujanga tu ghafla. Unaona? Kitu inakujanga tu ghafla. Si kitu tuna expect atakufa kesho ama kesho kutwa. Badala ya usave hiyo pesa na ungesave hiyo pesa labda kama kwa nini? Kwa ugonjwa ama ulipe kitu kama NHIF, uinsure kitu ingine.
Considering the confidence exuded by the Standard Chartered CEO, Kariuki Ngari, in his plan, and the uncertainty of the average Kenyan, it remains unclear if this method of saving will be the new norm as our loved ones are promoted to glory. For Ebru News, I'm Musa Amir.
Thank you, Musa. Now, the county government of Nakuru has begun the process of destroying contaminated maize flour impounded from supermarkets and retail outlets across the country after it was declared unfit for human consumption. Public Chief Health Officer Dr. Samuel Kingori said the first batch of 36 tons of the assorted maize flour seized from Gilgil and Naivasha sub-counties had been destroyed.
A number of containers with contaminated maize flour that had been confiscated in 9 other sub-counties were being stored under tight security at various parts of the county. The Public Health Chief Officer stated that while the Health Service conducts its mandate of market surveillance, a multi-agency team tested maize meal brands and found some of them containing levels of aflatoxins way higher than the average requirement, making them unsafe for human consumption.
The consignment had aflatoxin, which were very much above the minimum allowable levels. That is 115 ppb.
According to Dr. Kingori, the county had obtained a court order in December last year to destroy contaminated maize products. Just this month, the Kenya Bureau of Standards banned 17 maize flour brands. Last year, KEBS suspended the licenses of 5 maize millers over the sale of substandard flour. The Public Health Chief Officer encouraged the public to report any cases of suspended products still in circulation to the authorities and called on the traders to withdraw all banned and contaminated products from their shelves or risk arrest and prosecution.
Just from Gilgil, Naivasha sub-county. We still have other consignment in the other sub-county, and we want to remove all the consignment from the market. In the whole county, we have about 56 tons of maize flour. That is, today we are destroying 36 tons.
County Chief Officer Medical Services Dr. Solomon Simas said aflatoxins are produced by fungi and grow on grains that are not dried or stored in proper conditions, thriving in warm and moist conditions.
That aflatoxin produces some chemicals called carcinogenic elements that can cause cancer of many areas, the throat cancer. What will happen is that patients will come to our facilities and we treat them, which will be very expensive.
According to the Cancer National Institute of the U.S., aflatoxins are a family of toxins produced by certain fungi that are found on agricultural crops such as maize, peanuts, cottonseed, and tree nuts. The World Health Organization warns that long-term exposure to a high level of aflatoxin can have health consequences affecting the liver and kidneys.
In sports, Kenyans have registered their disappointment with the Olympic kits for 2020 in Japan, released for the Kenyan team. The short-sleeved shirt has a red and green pattern all over with the flag of Kenya positioned at the shoulders. Designed by Nike, the kit features conspicuous honeycomb pattern, a break from iconic past kits, which laid out the red, black and green colors of the flag. The official kit includes Team Kenya running tops, armbands, shorts, track pants and hoodies. World 1,500 meters champion Timothy Cheruiyot modeled the running kit for men's athletics team alongside models from other national teams including the United States of America, Brazil and Nigeria. Most Kenyans said the shirt was not good for their athletes to wear during the World Championship, which will begin in Tokyo, Japan on July 24th, 2020 until 9th of August 2020. Now, more than 20 lady golfers from all over the world will be battling on the challenging Par 72 course for the top spot for this year's Magical Kenya Ladies Open in the country. The tournament will take place from the 12th on 15th of November 2020 on Vipingo Ridge's Baobab course, the only PGA accredited golf course on the African continent. Former lady captain Esther Chumo, who is the top golfer from the club, will lead other single handicap players in the tournament playing off handicap 6. Chumo will be on the tee at 8:20 a.m. alongside Jay Nyambura, Miriam and M.Y. Naina. Other top lady golfers include long-hitting Mildred Natecho, Grace Mary Carrera, club chairman Florence Murgor, and former Helen Yego, among others. Also to watch will be the Kenya Open players Agnes Nyakio and Mercy Nyangama, among others. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Primetime News. That sums up the program here. It's 37 minutes past the hour, and coming up next on News Compass matters, crisis in the education docket as the Teacher Service Commission withdraws teachers from Northeastern Province following the attacks by Al-Shabaab militants. It says that the area is unsafe, but other quarters and key stakeholders believe that's not the way to go, and we are giving in for the terrorists to win their plan. That has been the cause, of course, for the militant or the terror organization ever since Kenya deployed troops in Somalia in 2011, the major turning point in the millennium, and that comes, of course, at the height of defeating the Al-Shabaab militants in the Operation Linda Inchi. But civil servants, among them teachers, were targeted in the subsequent attacks as avengement wounds by the terror organization crossing over from Somalia. We are having that discussion with the Deputy Secretary General of the Teacher Service Commission, that is Hezron Ogola, and the Women Rep Honorable Gladwell Cheruiyot Baringo, that is the home county of the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, as the country continues to mourn the passing on of Mzee, who died on Tuesday this week. That discussion is coming up next here on the program, and the hashtag on Twitter is News Compass. The short SMS code is 40920. Stay tuned after the short break.